Meknès, the monumental city of the four kings' towns of Morocco. Today, impressive gates and powerful walls surround the old town of Medina. The 20-kilometre-long town wall is one of the oldest relics of the former sovereign of the Alawites, Sultan Moulay Ismail, who was prone to larger-than-life ideals. Also, the great silo of the Heri and Dar el Mars building dates back to this time, the end of the 17th century. It was designed to guarantee an adequate supply of food for the 150,000 men of the Sultan's army. By way of arcades, the 180 by 69 metre wide and almost 12-metre high lone storehouse is divided into 23 individual sections. Today, nearly 500,000 people live in Meknès. The town's name stems from the tribe of the Meknasa that settled here at the beginning of the 10th century. The Medina still has its original and, according to the normal traditions of the Maghreb, unusual chessboard-like ground plan. The commercial areas, the so-called souks, tempt visitors with a rich variety of locally made and fascinating works of art crafted in wood. In the midst of the historic commercial district is one of the town's oldest buildings, the Medersa Bou Inania. It was built in the middle of the 14th century. The beautiful decor of the inner courtyard and its walls fascinates, with its overwhelming number of unusual artistic majolica designs and other art forms. The building style that was introduced during the rule of the Merenides contains an incredible abundance of varied Arabic Moorish decorations. Beautiful tile mosaics and writing decorate the rooms within the former Quran school in the heart of Meknès. Even today, the Medersa is one of the most beautiful theological universities in the country. The former Quran school once contained 50 classrooms. Only privileged students were allowed to live in a room that had a view to the inner yard. Buildings that date from the time of the Merenides sovereigns, such as, for example, Abu el Hassan and Abu Inan, are a rarity in Meknès. Some 100 years later, and of more significance for today's architectural image of the town, was Sultan Moulay Ismail, who, because of his great buildings, was often called the Moroccan Sun King. His strict 55-year rule, that was also marked by his striving for over-generous dimensions, was protected by a great and powerful army. Not far away from the Madrasa Bu Inania, there is a further significant building in Medina, the Great Mosque. Only these two religious buildings of Islam seem to have survived the martial confusions of the past brought about by the Meknès. During struggles for succession, shortly after his death, the buildings and palaces of Sultan Moulay Ismail were destroyed. In 1755, a huge earthquake destroyed much of the town. And so it is fortunate indeed that the Great Mosque still exists in its original form. The Great Mosque of the Merenides was built in the style of the Madrasa Bu Inania. There is much activity in the main streets and on the squares of Meknès. The beautiful Bab el Mansour Gate particularly attracts droves of visitors each day. The gate is a symbol of the era of Moulay Ismail. Finally, in 1732, the gate was completed by the son of the dead Sultan. Even today, the monumental architecture of Meknès holds great importance for this royal city.